everyone, I wanted to take a minute to show you around your Unit 4 SCI 103 lab. So this is our virtual interactive lab. Again, you do not have to purchase any materials, you don't have to go anywhere. Everything is done completely virtual. So first off, you're going to go to your assignment list and click on Unit 4 Individual Project. That's going to bring up the assignment details. So if you view the assignment details, lots of good stuff in here, of course, so you want to make sure you're reading that carefully. Then when you get down here, it says first download the lab report worksheet. So you can see it's hyperlinked there, so you're going to click on that and it's going to prompt a download for your Unit 4 lab report worksheet, which looks like this. So a couple things about this worksheet. Again, you want to save this on your device. If you're unable to save it or whatever, you can copy and paste this into whatever sort of Word type application that you have, because you can also end up copying and pasting this right into the submissions area. There's a little text box there. So you'll notice in this lab report worksheet, there are some hints for you in blue. So these are little tips that you want to make sure you're reading, because this is going to help you with the tables. So that's the tip for table 1, and here's a hint for table 2. Okay, so now that you've got the worksheet downloaded, go back. The next part says then view the lab for the Unit 4 lab, soil infiltration and runoff. So you're going to click right there and it is going to take you directly to our Unit 4 soil infiltration and runoff lab. Okay, so we'll click continue. So you're going to make sure you're reading through all of this information. Okay, so basically we have sites 1, 2, and 3 that you are going to go to and gather some information from. So it really doesn't matter what order you go in. You probably want to go in the order on your worksheet. So here's site 1. You'll notice this one says it has lots of vegetation, and that corresponds to table 1 here. So kind of like the Unit 2 one where we recorded some information, we're going to be doing that same thing into table 1 here. Okay, so first off is the vegetation one, right? So if we go back here, we're gonna click play on the video and it's gonna take us to site 1. Again, these billboards are very important because the billboards are gonna give you that information and the data points that you want to write down on your worksheet. So you can see the data points there, 10%, 25%, and 25%. So runoff is 10, shallow infiltration is 25, and deep infiltration is 25. So just to give you an example here, you're actually going to write that in, right? So let's just double check and go back to that. So runoff was 10%, and the other two infiltrations are 25. Okay, so runoff for vegetation is 10%. Right, and then this was 25%, and then shallow infiltration was also 25%. Okay, so the way you are going to actually get this evaporation of water is you're going to have to do some subtraction, right? So since this is a percentage, it means all of these are out of 100. So we want to take this and add it to this and add it to this. So once you add up all of those, then you're going to subtract that from 100. So you can see in the example here, that's what I've done. Okay, so you can see here that was 25% for shallow infiltration, 25% for deep infiltration, 10% for runoff. So if you add up 25 and 25, that gives you 50, plus another 10, that gives you 60, right? And so in this part, you're doing 100 minus 60, okay, which is going to give you 40. So 40% is the evaporation of how much water evaporated there. Okay, so that's an example. You'll do the mountain and bare soil ones just the same. So if we go back to the lab here and click continue, this gives you those tips and hints that I was talking about there. So you can also zoom in if you need to see this a bit clearer, those billboards. Okay, so site 2, same thing. So this is the mountain rock one, right? So you're going to write down your information from the billboard on that site. Okay, so you can see it there. that. So after you get that, it's going to eventually settle here and return us. There we go. Okay, so now that we have that, and again, I know this one's a little bit dark, so you can click this to actually zoom in on that. Okay, then you can record your information here, so write down the percentage there, percentage of that one, and then again do that subtraction, right? Same thing for bare soil, so you'll go to site 3 and do that for bare soil. Now you've really got all the information after you do those 3 sites that you need to complete the rest of the lab. So for section 2, we want to know how much that actually is, but you have to remember that this isn't a percent, right? This is a percentage. These are all in percentages. So we need to really convert that. So what we're going to be doing is using a little formula. So here's the formula. Okay, so this one's always going to be a given. This 0.623, that's a given. And then we're going to be multiplying a couple things together. You can see here there's a number of givens. The only thing that's really going to change is that percentage from the virtual lab. But a percent, we need to convert that to a decimal, right? So you can see in this example here, 40% is actually the decimal 0.4, okay? So the way you change that percentage is you move the decimal place 2 to the left, okay? So for every single cell, you're going to be doing that in all of these cells for table 2. So you're going to be converting all of those. Okay, so I did an example there for you. So the one that was over here that we ended up getting 40% for, that vegetation one, the evaporation of water, that one, you can see here we have our given 0.623 times 100 square foot. That's the area, and those are all plots that are equal. So the only thing again that's going to change is that number from the table 1 from the lab that you calculated. Okay, but you're going to do that for every single one. So then you're going to write in your answer, right? 24.92 gallons. Again, though, you're doing it for every single cell. So for another example, if I go up here, this one was 25%, right? So 25% as a decimal would be 0.25. So if I go back down here, okay, and I'm going to type that in, this is going to become 0.25, right? So my whole thing would be, if I write this out for you, bear with me in just a second here. Okay, so times 100, right? Times, remember it was 25%, so as a decimal that's 0.25. So we're going to write 0.25. Okay, and when you multiply that together, I'm not going to actually do it for you, but you will get the answer for this one. So you're doing every single cell that same way. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for table 2. And then for table 3, a couple things are going on here. So table 3, I provided a little bit of guidance here in the forms of these blanks. So you're essentially answering the question in 3 to 5 sentences, but you're writing out the information for the blanks. So the blanks are used to guide you. Okay, but be sure that you're including specific data from part 1. That's how you're justifying your answer. So in vegetation surface type, the runoff is what? Is it more? Is it less? Because of why? What makes the vegetation either have more runoff or less runoff? Okay, and then give me the numbers. Give us the data from part 1. So part 1 is your tables up here, right? So give us those comparisons. You know, what's the runoff for vegetation as compared to mountain and bare soil? So you want to actually give us those numbers in comparison and kind of discuss those values. Okay, same goes for number 2 and number 3 there. And then for the rest of them, actually, you do not have any blanks to really fill in, and you're not really using as much of the data from part 1, but you do need to answer these in 3 to 5 sentences. You should have plenty of information from your material this week to be able to do that. So you're answering these short answered questions here. And that is the end of Lab 4. So please let us know if you have any questions. Always happy to help. Take care.